All right.
Hold on, let me
Good to go.
change the view. Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully we have fixed the audio on my end.
I'm just waiting for the stream to change to gallery. We should be good to go. Yeah, all right. It's gallery mode on YouTube. All right. How's it going, Cris? How you living?
I'm doing all right, Derrick. Hope you had a good weekend. I had been roasting a rack of lamb for like the past 2 hours. I smell
Ooh.
it, so I can't wait to get through the show so I can eat a really, really satisfying dinner. How are you doing?
I'm very jealous right now. What I had today was a spice ham sandwich, and you over here with the rack of lamb.
So one of the best things about quarantine and work from home
Hmm.
has been just putting stuff in the oven for like 2 to 3 hours and slow roasting,
Yeah.
and then doing like the Zoom meetings while that's going on, while the juices are dripping. And then, once it's all done, once the day is over, you get to enjoy like a fresh home cooked meal.
That's what's up. Okay. Well, I mean, I have been cooking myself, but it was just very it was a very lazy day today. So sandwiches literally all day long.
It's definitely a busy week for both of us.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome everybody. This is what, episode 6, Cris?
I don't know. Um, I lost count. I don't even know what the day is. I don't know what time is because of what daylight savings.
Yes, yes, that did happen. Yes. But yes, we want to welcome you all to our show, the Risk Reward Show. I'm your host, Derrick. I'm here with my colleague, friend, business partner, Cris. Um, Before we get started, we do want to remind you to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, as well as just give us, like any type of feedback on anything that you would like for us to speak about. For us, we are here to find your upside in your career and personal, everything that you're doing within those realms. So you wanted to state that before we get started. But without further ado, Cris, I want to get into our first segment, our weekly rewind. This is going to be about the stimulus checks or the stimulus package that has recently been signed. Um,
Stimmy.
yes, stimmies are coming, everyone. Stimmies are coming. I feel like everybody's, all caught up on this, the $1,400 check. So, just curious to know, like, what when you get your check, what do you plan on doing with it?
So half of it definitely is going to be put away either directly to my checking account or indirectly to the stock market.
Yeah.
Um, like 1,400 doesn't even pay for a month of rent for me. And it's crazy to think that in other parts of that country, in other parts of the country, 1,400 pays, close to 3 months of rent.
Hmm.
So that I'm definitely gonna put some away. But I might splurge a little bit here and there. But it's not, unfortunately, just living in New York, it's not a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's stuck on that. However, I did want to point out that the package itself, yes, the 1,400 is coming, but something else that stood out to me was the housing assistance that people are going to actually get for people who weren't able to pay their rent. There's going to be grants. I believe the fund is worth $21 billion. But also for homeowners, which I think a lot of people were kind of shaded on, because they were the ones who were like, I know this tenant can't pay rent, but I need to pay this mortgage. So I'm happy to see some relief going to homeowners to kind of pay on mortgage and taxes and anything for any prices that you know or any damage that they had during this entire time. But most importantly, restaurants are getting help, which I think is huge. And people have been forgetting about restaurants. I'm happy that there's a fund. I believe they're going to be getting 25 billion for restaurants to kind of, just keep going, paying like their staff and all that. So I'm happy to see that finally somebody is listening to restaurant owners, and I'm happy that we are going to be able to go out again to these restaurants. Plenty of restaurants that I normally go to have been closed down. So hopefully this, fund or this grant that has been signed in within this package is going to help them all out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. In general, I do think that business owners, and I'm a small business owner myself, you are as well. I think that this is something we can't rely on for like sustainability. So it's up to us to make sure that our business models are resilient.
Yeah.
And, this help is nice, but I also don't want like extra money going to prop up businesses that aren't like set up to succeed in the long term either, because that feels like a waste of money.
Yes.
Right. So there's like a balance here. And I think for business owners like us, especially within the restaurant industry, like, yes, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Now go and make those changes to your business model so that in case something happens like a pandemic or like a health scare, that you have some sort of like, alternate plan to still continue to drive revenue and stay profitable.
Yeah. Something that we spoke about over the phone that I wanted to bring up is the unemployment that people are also getting. This is tax time, so I want everybody to know that me personally, I believe there's no such thing as free money unless like you steal it. But if the government is giving you money, you better believe there's some strings attached somewhere somehow. So if you received any type of unemployment, you best believe that they might be taxing it. So if you get a check for 20, well, probably not 20, maybe 20. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were just like giving out money. But if you get a unemployment check, like a lump sum, don't spend the full thing. Do not do that, because you will have to pay taxes on that. And then when tax time comes and you're like, oh, we gave you 15, but now we need 30% of that. Now you're asked out. So that's not, you're not trying to you're not looking at it like any risks there. And the risk of that is just not saving your money.
Yeah, I think that, again, whenever you generate, whenever you get like a income of any sort, a portion of that has to go towards saving or like long-term investing. I think, again, this bigger picture, long-term viewpoint is how we both recommend our audience to start looking at their trajectory and trying to figure out what their needs and wants are, because we have to be somewhat prepared as much as we can be for what could happen. And that's why I am Mr. Risk. That's always on the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I just want that covered as much as you can. And I know a lot of us are in really tough situations where you have to spend all that money on rent, on food. Like, that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
But once you do have that breathing room, a little bit of breathing room, I think a little bit of, just in case money would be helpful. And that's why, again, we Derrick and I, we want you all to make sure that the downside is somewhat acknowledged and hopefully accounted for, so that you can just focus on the upside.
Yes, and what I forgot to mention is what I would do with my stimmy money. I'm buying Bitcoin, baby. It's all going towards BTC. the whole thing.
I'm tempted. And by the way, I'm not sure that the government wants that to happen. They want it to be spent like within the economy.
Oh, but it won't.
Within traditional economy, right? but I do know a lot of that money is going to be spent on crypto,
Yeah.
NFTs, NBA Top Shots.
Yeah, like I'm not sure how much money is like set aside for these checks, but I can guarantee you probably like 2 billion is going to go towards just coins.
So this is an unintended consequence of the government just printing out so much money.
Yeah.
So what it's doing is, for a lot of folks, it's pushing this interest towards risk assets. And again, this is going to create more income inequality. But a lot of that money that, isn't crucial to recipients of it, they're going to put it in more, let's call it risky or more speculative things than buying the necessities, right? So that's going to NBA Top Shots, like we discussed last week. All this NFT art, right? That's gonna help drive that up, and again, it's gonna make really rich people even richer, and it's gonna create like a wider gap, which is unfortunate. But with that said, enjoy that money for your present self, but also, keep in mind your future self.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're at the tail end of everything COVID. So hopefully these checks, they get to the people that actually need it, and people use this money wisely.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So as business owners, Cris, going on to our main topic of failed business or a lesson learned. You yourself, I don't from working with you and just talking with you, I don't think your business has failed. But I will say you've learned a bunch of lessons. You probably had some downfalls where like you fell back and learned something. I guess my question to you is, for those who've had a business and it failed, do you think, that's just the end of it, or is there an upside to that experience?
I think that running a business and going deep into entrepreneurship has rewards that you cannot measure simply by profits, by revenue, nor whether or not your business still exists. My business has existed for 7.5 years now. There were some really painful points in the very beginning. We put out a career tool in 2017, and it was painful to shell out that much money to develop it. But when I think about the prizes that we got from it, it was still a net win. But that 2017 time period was chaotic. There was also a 2016 time period where I became very involved in immigrant rights advocacy, and I had to have one foot out of the business, which meant that year was a period of, I'll call it stagnant, like revenue growth. However, we did generate, profits. We stayed profitable. We were increasingly profitable for like the first, 6 years, right? So while it does feel like, okay, I'm a decently successful entrepreneur because I've stayed this long, I have no debt, we had positive free cash flow, right? I will say that that's not the ultimate measure of how I view myself as an entrepreneur. When I see how much better I am in terms of building relationships, public speaking, I think those are the lessons learned, whether or not your business still exists. When I think about the reputation that I've forged for myself, sometimes in in tech, in spaces where, you know, I don't have credentials, I don't have a degree that's technology related. But I heard from a friend of mine who was in contact with a decision maker at a tech company. And I didn't know that this woman had paid attention to my work.
Mm-hmm.
But it got back to my friend that, you know, this tech leader called me a powerhouse. And I thought that was really rewarding. Like that made my week last week when I found that out.
Awesome.
And I think one of these byproducts of running a business, again, whether or not it still exists, is you can recreate what your reputation is, what your subject matter expertise is, and that can push you going forward, whether or not you run your existing business or you move on to another business or you end up working for a company. So that's my take on that. And I'll also give a little bit of context why this came about, why this topic came about. So I did a panel for one of the incubators that supported me. It's on our home campus, the City College of New York. It's called the Zahn Innovation Center. So thank you, Derrick, for being part of the audience. And, you know, it was a sort of like, where are they now kind of panel. And I got a chance to reflect on my own entrepreneurship journey and had to reiterate to potential applicants to the Zahn Innovation Center, you know, that just go through, make your default answer yes, say yes to this opportunity, because it isn't just about whether or not your business is going to be profitable, you know, months after, a year after, or even exist, you know, 5-6 years after. It's about the professional skills that you will develop. And then there's an event coming up with Jobs First and the Student Success Network in New York. And that's going to be on March 23rd. And I'll get to drill home the same message, but this time to a different audience, to educators, to workforce development leaders, that listen, if you're just thinking about entrepreneurship as a hot thing that you should teach so that people develop business skills, I think these leaders are underestimating the value of going through this process. And I'll leave it there because I know, Derrick, you yourself have learned so many lessons in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, that alone, I just wanted to touch base with what you said about the your panel with the Zahn Center. Just hearing that, you know, the other panelists were able to start a business. They realized it didn't work, but now they're flourishing in like their own, like they started, you know, with something new. So that just goes to show, like, you know, if one business fails, you know enough to make the second one work, whether that be with, you know, to hire the right people, you know, what pitfalls you should just try to stay clear from, you know, how to set up, you know, like the back end of stuff. Like if I'm having like some type of like a mailing list, I know how to set that up properly to where it works now. I understand that I have to have some type of drip campaign if I want to, you know, cultivate customers and stuff like that. I have to constantly be in touch with them. So you hit it on the nail when you said you learn to be a better professional. I don't care, regardless of what. Building a business is hard. It's very, very hard. And I feel like it was glorified for a long time. And then people start to realize like, oh, this is not for me. Being a business owner, it's not all about I'm doing everything. I feel like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that knowing that I can't do everything, knowing that I can't do the marketing, I can't do the social, I can't do this and that. However, I know now if I want to hire someone, I can, because now I'm able to give them a plan of like, this is what I need done. I need you to just do it. And I feel like that's one of like the biggest, like one of the hardest things is when you first hire someone and you have to kind of explain to them like, this is what I want. It definitely builds on the skills of you just laying down what you want and just getting your ideas out, as well as getting feedback from that person because they are the expert. Don't always think you know everything. That was another lesson I learned, not realizing that I don't know everything. I don't know everything about social. I may use it, but this person may have a better insight on how to, you know, gather leads or anything. So with that being said, going back to the better professional, starting my own business has created within me how can I better close deals. I feel like that's a big part that people don't talk about. Yes, you can get in the room, but are you closing that deal? Is something happening?
Always be closing. ABCs.
ABCs, great movie. Gary, damn, I'm forget the name of the movie, but I'll remember it soon. But yeah, but always be closing. Knowing what your client wants, learning how to talk with them. Funny thing, literally probably earlier today, I was talking to a client of mine, and I realized the first time I spoke with them, I was talking way too much, and I didn't really get a sense of like what their need was. But this time when I had that follow-up, closed it, because I was asking them questions. I want them to tell me what are their pain points, what do they look for in a new the partner, what are they looking to solve, what problems do they have, because everybody has a problem. Like when you're talking with the client, you always have to know that there's a problem that's out there that they need to solve. So basically learning and constantly failing in like previous like combos that I had, and just noting that, okay, I see that I was speaking this way, now I should try it to ask these types of questions. And if I ask these types of questions, I get these types of answers, and these types of answers lead to getting that deal done. So being a much better professional in terms of getting the deals closed, those communication skills, as well as learning how to be a leader. Those are the biggest lessons that I've learned from not failing in my business, from failing from certain things. So for me, that's where I stand. There was something you said earlier that I can't remember that I wanted to give a comment on, but I'll just give it to you.
Yeah, so I'll focus in on this idea of you can't do everything. However, in the beginning, your hands are kind of in everything.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful opportunity to figure out what you're good at, because you're forced into like different realms. So for example, like social media, when I have to come up with design ideas or like copy ideas, I have grown to be pretty decent at it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have these enterprise clients that might ask for my opinion on that, I can share some of it. I took a brief role to help promote a documentary in 2014. So this is right around the time where I started my business. And it was a communications support role. And I took it so that I could learn how to enhance my business. And as part of the documentary rollout, it was premiered on CNN.
Okay.
And and under the leadership of my friend Maria, who
Mm-hmm.
We got 1.3 billion impressions on Twitter.
Ooh.
Right. So that kind of coordination and seeing Maria's work and how digital communication strategy is laid out helped inform me on some of the things that I wanted to incorporate in terms of digital marketing, digital communications. But overall, this idea of how do we make the greatest impression on clients, on target audiences. So again, these skills, they may not have been, related to your major. You may not see them as your core competencies, but because you're forced into taking on some part of these different realms of business, you become a better professional, a more well-rounded professional. And if you go deep into these other realms, then you are like a domain expert in multiple areas.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful when you have people who are, started their own companies, but then they go to like a more of like a corporate setting and they just crush it because they understand like the outside business. Like they're not just working in, just doing like the motions and all that, but they understand the full picture. Like knowing that you're working in sales, you know how it's going to relate to marketing, you know how it's going to relate to everybody else. So the fact that you have your hands in all of these different places, now you understand how this works and how you fit within like that bigger picture. So it's a beautiful thing. When you fail, I think it needs, I feel like now it's something that it's more, common when people fail and people say like fail fast and stuff like that. But when you do it, just make sure that you're learning something from it, that you take something from that failure and make it into a win.
I'll summarize this into an analogy. So entrepreneurship for me is a long highway, and everything related to the skills that you build. Maybe it's venturing off into business development skills, or even STEM related skills, or public speaking. Those are all the exits and the off ramps from that highway. That's entrepreneurship. And one of those main off ramps or main exits could also be just working at a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you view entrepreneurship as this main highway that feeds into other aspects of what your career, what your professional life can look like, then I think you'll have a more balanced view of what success is. And you'll always have this growth mindset that, you know what, along the way in this journey, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, and don't forget the highway does have potholes. There are definitely
Yes.
potholes.
Yes, indeed.
Lots of swerving going on. Cool. I feel like that was a great way to wrap that topic up and put a button on it. So I wanted to go on to some open office hours questions that we had. I like this question a lot, and I want to hear your take on it. But what do you feel about the Tidal and Square deal that recently just happened?
So Tidal and Square, I believe Jay-Z sold a large stake of Tidal to Square.
Mm-hmm.
And in exchange, well, one of the exchanges is Jay-Z gets on the board of Square. Mm-hmm. And the payment space, that fintech space, is really hot. So that's a smart move for Hove to do that. For Square, it was a little bit puzzling at first. So what's clear here is, okay, Square with the name that is Jay-Z will now have access to what might have been a different target population than they originally had.
Yeah.
I also have seen some write-ups related to how, the idea of artists and the music industry, there can be an ecosystem built using Square that empowers individual artists and maybe disrupts the traditional music industry even more.
Yeah.
So I've seen some of those write-ups, and I had the initial thoughts as well. It was still unclear to me, like the direct link though,
Mm-hmm.
of how this is going to be accretive pretty soon for Square. Like, I don't know how it's going to boost its share price. And I am a former shareholder of Square. I just sold it too early. I had it at 35. I had it at 35. Ooh. Right? And I sold it when it was around 100. Right? So I missed like another double.
Yeah.
But it helped me recover from the pandemic lows. So I've always wanted to get back in. I think I'll have an opportunity to do so. but now I'm starting to wonder, okay, what is this like super long-term growth? Because I think this Tidal deal is for, it's not for short-term accretion, right?
No.
So now I'm trying to figure out, all right, what does this look like in the middle and long term? With that said, I trust the CFO of Square. Jack Dorsey also heads Twitter, which always gave me some pause. Look, I run a company, I run a small company, and I try to have my foot in like one or two other ventures, right? I actually am an advisor on a startup where I have equity stake, and that's hard. And I have a tiny company and a tiny startup, right?
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey has Twitter and Square.
Jackie D.
Yeah, so that's why I tend to not really go for Jack, but like who's right under.
Yeah.
So Square's CFO, she's amazing, and I have faith in like a long term vision. So I'm on board with it. It's not gonna dissuade me from jumping back in when Square. So if Square hits that 180 price tag in in another pullback, I'm pretty sure I'm in. Maybe even higher than that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my take on it. But it's an interesting move to say the least.
Overall, good deal, right?
I think that it is. I'm optimistic, but I can't say it's good. I'm optimistic, but I have my reservations, but overall I have faith. So I would say that I'm optimistic about the deal.
Sounds like you still see some risks.
Well, I am Mr. Risk.
Dope. For me, I think this is a great deal. Ever since there was that picture of Jay-Z and Jackie D on the boat, I'm like, this is definitely going to happen. And that was probably like late last year, something like that. So I'm happy to see this deal go through. You do have a lot of people who don't understand like the behind the scenes deal of like why it happened. We don't know, but like the details. There were a lot of people on like social media saying Jay-Z's a sellout. He's this, he's that. This isn't right and all that. I'm just like, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? Shut up. This man not only bought Tidal, I think he bought it for, I have it here. He bought it for $56 million with other artists. Then in 2017, he sold 33% to Sprint, which is now T-Mobile. When that, once you get your phone, you have Tidal on your phone and stuff like that. The boss thing that Jay-Z did was that before this deal with Square went through, he bought back his shares from Sprint and then sold it for 5 times what he bought it for. And on top of that, all of the artists that invested in Tidal with him get a piece of that cut. Where is the sellout there? Not only is he, not only did he, 5x his money, but he also 5x the pockets of other artists. And I feel like Hove has always been for the artists, which I think is going to make the other, how do you say, the other labels like angry, because he's really providing them a space where they can actually grow and, live on their own without having to rely on any type of label. Tidal, I think, is the one that is the highest paid for artists. Like Spotify, you get some piece, and Apple, you get a piece of that, but Spotify gives the artist back the most money. So just by knowing the fact that, Square and, Tidal is going to be, Square bought Tidal, but my thing is, I know this is going to be big for the music space. How my guess is when it comes to like the ticket sales and stuff like that, I think Cash App is going to be involved some way, somehow. Maybe you can buy your ticket from Cash App. You can buy like concert tickets or anything, because I do still believe like Rock Nation is still involved in this space some way, somehow. But I do see the advantage of having a financial backing of Square to help get the money out to the people as well as to the artists.
I'll
Another
also throw in there. I think there's an NFT angle here.
there's definitely some ways, yes, most definitely.
Because Square is so innovative, I think they can leverage some of their engineering talent there to find a way to help foster the growth of artists using NFTs again within the Square ecosystem.
Yeah, I really don't think people understand how big NFTs are going to be, and literally we just touched the surface of it. But I just wanted to say, for me personally, I looked at Hove as one of like the best rappers alive. I enjoy his music. His lyrics, I think, are like top notch. When in terms of artists who have like the best lyrics, he's definitely within like my top 5. But I've been watching him for the past couple of years now, and my love for his music is still there, but my appreciation for him as a businessman has grown tremendously. When it comes to like my list of like top business people, it's Hove, Madam C.J. Walker, Warren Buffett, and I don't know what his title is or what
that's a great mix, by the way.
His name is Chad Oubre. He's the not the manager, but he works with the 85 South show. Literally, when I hear those 4, well, we can't hear Madam CJ Walker talk, but when I hear those other 3 talk, they don't talk much, but when they do, they're always dropping gems, and I'm always listening and I'm watching how they move, because whatever room they go into, they're closing deals. The fact that Jay-Z's on the board of Square, I don't think people understand what that means for the culture. Like, for the culture, there's going to be so much going on. I heard, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly Square might be coming out with some credit, or no, sorry, Jay-Z is supposed to be coming out with some credit repair type system or something like that. So Square would be the best place for that to actually happen, I think. But before people start to, call him a sellout and stuff like that, if you've never done this type of business deal, don't give your opinion. I feel like now we're in the space where everybody wants to say something just to be a part of the conversation. But at the same time, if you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't just off rip just say something wild and crazy just to get likes and retweets and all that. Like, take the time to actually look. Oh, he did this. Oh, he gave money to these people also. That's dope. That's not a sellout.
I think the sellout, like that label came hard at Jay-Z with the NFL. When he took that, even just that meeting. And I have a friend, Selena Hill, who does work for Black Enterprise, and she was in that meeting.
Dope.
And so she's someone that I can, like, I definitely rely on, and to have, like, she's not calling him a sellout at all, right? I know that I was like the big deal at the time, but I thought that was unfair to Hove. But I'll close this out on 2 points. One, so you saw a picture of Jack Dorsey and Jay-Z on a boat. I put on LinkedIn a picture of them sitting with some, red wine and having the vision laid out, handwritten on the table, right? And since we were talking about always be closing earlier, closing deals is based on relationships. So if you want to close deals, if you want to close a deal, you develop that relationship. It's no reason why a lot of business deals are done on the golf course. It's no it's no accident why I go to a lot of happy hours, so that I can foster more relationships, because a lot of business deals starts there, right? It starts away from the office, because what you want is an authentic relationship. And if you are in if you have a role, and if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you always have to close, then build those relationships. The way I run my business, without having to do a lot of marketing, especially paid marketing, is my original customers, the same organizations and companies that believed in me pretty much from the very start, they keep coming back, but they also refer other companies to me. And that does the work for me. And that's because I've maintained those relationships. In fact, one quick note, yesterday, I got a text from the executive director of one of the client orgs that my company has. And it was this secret meeting that was related to high level politics, right? And it's Sunday at 9 here, right? So I'm like, why am I getting this text? But I also know once I see this executive director's name, I never say no. I always say yes. Because one, I adore her work, but two, I also want to maintain this relationship. So I got access to a couple of amazing leaders last night. And that's why we couldn't do the planning meeting, Derrick. So
do what you got to do, bro.
And then the last thing on this Jay-Z thing is the first concert I ever went to was the Genuine concert.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So it was a Genuine concert.
My bad.
So, well, no, you can put that up a little later. But it was a Genuine concert. Timbaland was there. Shout out to Timbaland and Swiss Beats for growing verses and their sale to Triller. I think we can discuss that next week as well, as we do a little bit of research on what that deal actually looks like in terms of numbers. But kudos to Timbaland. So back to this first concert. Genuine, Timbaland, Missy, Aaliyah, rest in peace. She was still alive, right? And there was a song that was super hot with Memphis Bleak, produced by Timbaland, right? And Missy was on it, and so is Jay-Z. So as one of the surprise guests, a young Jay-Z takes it to the stage, does his verse on Is That Your Chick? And
great song.
My first concert experience had all of these luminaries in it. And that's why I will probably never forget Jay-Z.
I know I definitely went to a concert that he did at the Barclays too. And the man got a stadium in Brooklyn. Like for me coming from Brooklyn and just always passing by that, before I think it was a train yard or something, and just constantly passing by, I'm like, there's nothing going on there. And then now it's like the center of everything.
Yeah.
Like there's an actual stadium in Brooklyn.
Was it 555 State Street?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Just a couple blocks away. He used to do his thing around there, and now he can. From his old apartment, you can overlook it and you see the Barclays Center. By the way, was that the 444 tour you were talking about?
Was it the 444? No, it wasn't the 444 tour.
I saw him for that one too. It was like right after Thanksgiving, and my first full show of his. And I was like, you know what? That's on the bucket list that I can check off. Yeah.
I feel like people just need to give this man his flowers. Yes, he's good for the music, but his business acumen is amazing. I feel like he's making smart deals. He is including the people in some way, shape, or form. So don't give him any. Yes, he's I mean, the fact that you brought up him going to the NFL, that just brought back a bunch of conversations I had when people were just getting on him. I'm like, he's in the room. Like, what more do you want from the man? He's in the room.
It's impossible to get into that room.
Yeah. I'm like, he's in the room.
It's impossible to get the attention of owners in that league.
Yeah.
So for him to just get there, it was a win. What he's doing here, it's a win. I'm I just have had amazing experiences. Look, I've seen, we've both seen Jay-Z a few times, and Beyonce has held my hand. Like all of these experiences tie into like the allure of Jay-Z. And I think, he has this Midas touch. It's kind of like Oprah, right? Just attach yourself to the name and they'll find a way to make it work. And I'm also going to shout out the people who often go nameless, but there are a lot of business people that advise Jay-Z and Beyonce that will never get the credit. They don't seek the credit.
Yeah.
But for their business teams, salute to all of you. I would love to meet you one day, right?
Yeah.
Because you all never get the credit, but some of the deals that you are convincing Jay-Z or like a Beyonce to make have been wonderful, not just for like the pockets of celebrities, but also for like, as you said, for the culture. And it helps, small business owners like us dream a little bit bigger and have a bigger view of what we can do.
Yeah. Chad Oubre, he's a person, like I said, from the 85 South show. You never see his face. But when he was on, I forget what podcast he was on, but he was speaking. And I'm like, I see why this man doesn't show his face, because he's just dropping gems for everybody. And he's behind the scenes. Like, he's never on camera. He doesn't post much on social media, but everybody in business and within like the podcast space knows his name.
Everybody wants to be a star, but you're not going to succeed unless you have these high quality role players play their part, execute flawlessly. And that's how you're going to succeed in business, in your professional life.
Yeah. I feel like we can spend like another half hour talking on that, but let's put a button on it. Right move right now. So what you got?
Save part of your stimulus. But for the part that you don't save, treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Right move right now. You said it before, but I just want to double down on it. Build rapport. Building rapport will take you further than anything out there. If I'm able to, the fact that you got that text, Cris, that's the rapport that you have to where it's able to kind of get you more and more deals. So build rapport with people, check it on people, send them like, hey, I was just, like thinking about this, text and stuff like that, or share like an article with them or any ideas that you have, but build rapport and buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin. It's at I think it's at like 56 right now.
It hit 61. It hit 61
over the weekend. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
56 right now. But buy Bitcoin, NFTs, get your hands on them, people.
I'm in all-time highs in the market. So I don't feel too bad about missing out on Bitcoin, but yes, you all should consider diversifying into Bitcoin, like Derrick said.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's wrap it up, Cris. Thank you all. We want to thank you for another episode. Thank you, Cris, for another show. I feel like I think we are on 6, but I'm enjoying just having these like combos with you. I've been getting a bunch of feedback from people that we both know, as well as other people. One, they enjoy what we're talking about. It really helps them, and the fact that we're giving them the actionable advice that they can use to find their upside is amazing. So let's keep it up. Yes. We're on episode 6. Soon we'll be on 600.
Yes. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the next one. And, if you see us on social media, again, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, share. And, we put a call out for guests. If you want to be on, please let us know. And we can actually, we have set topics. We already have excess questions that we're sifting through from our network. But if you want to get in on this as a guest, feel free to reach out.
Yes. Subscribe, share. I can't repeat that enough. All right. Cris, until next time.
Till next time, I got that lamb talk. About that time. It's that lamb talk right now.
I'm jealous.
About to eat like crazy.
All right. See you.
All right, later.